Okay, welcome to the summary of the first turn of 1943. These are the two cards that were in play, but in fact, they weren't used. That is, obviously, their commands were used, but the effects didn't come into play. The Germans figured that if we do attack, the Russians will, well, maybe not benefit from the same benefit, but if they choose to use it in the same battle, basically the effect would be nullified, and perhaps more importantly, the Germans felt they needed to bolster their defenses because now they're really being threatened from all sides. Here, the Western Allies are poised to invade Denmark. Here, they are poised to invade France or Belgium because they've had, assuming that they win initiative on the next turn, meaning that they have a higher command card, that they'll be able to land, and they could land in any area in northern or western France. They could land in Belgium. They could land in Denmark. Mind you, not at all in all of these areas at the same time, because each side is restricted to one sea invasion per turn. The Russians could launch one, and the Western Allies could launch one, but not more than one each. Coming to speaking of a Russian invasion, the Russians have set up in the Black Sea, and that also leads me to telling you what the Germans did. They sensed that it definitely looked like the Russians were going to try and attack Bessarabia and basically get around the initially stronger German defenses further north. That is... And they actually were going to do that, but the Germans used their command to bolster their defenses in Romania, and they are now certainly a match for the Russians at their border now. So what the Soviets did in anticipation is they used most of their command to strategically move some of their units, a leader, a unit from the Urals, if I remember correctly, and an aircraft. Of course, an aircraft doesn't require strategic movement points, but they did put it there. And since they now have a naval unit here too, they could land in Bulgaria or also on the Romanian coast, meaning they could add additional units to the attack. So they could do either one of those two things. So really the Germans are being threatened on all sides. Finally, in the south, the Allies could also launch an invasion. They could invade Rome, well, any coastal area basically, because they've got their units set up. They could invade Sicily, they could invade the south, and obviously they're not going to conduct all of these invasions because they can't, but the thing is, the Germans don't know which one they will launch, and then their resources seem to be too meager to defend all possible landing sites. It almost sounds historical, come to think of it. The Americans built their remaining units. Obviously, they have one left for 1944, but we've only just started 1943, so that one could not have been built yet. Sometimes I get a bit confused, and I think, how does it work again with those convoys? Because I feel it's explained rather strangely. The way I understand it is that these points, those obviously for the British and those for the Russians, can be used by the Americans themselves as well, even when they've already spent all the regular points they would have. They started at 14, they actually built one more factory. So even when those 14 points are finished, they can still decide to use up to 7 points, production points for themselves. That's how I understand it. Please correct me if I'm wrong, because it makes an enormous difference. The thing is, those are Lend-Lease units. They have already been produced, and the Americans just decide to keep them for themselves. So I get the impression that those are additional production points, even if you've already reached zero the normal way, if you understand what I mean. So I'd greatly appreciate it if somebody could post a comment below this video, either confirming or denying this, because this is a pretty essential rule to get right. So that's basically what's happened now. The Russians have also built all their units. So let's see what the next turn of 1943 is going to bring. Thank you again for watching.